Hi, I'm Jennifer. If it's your first time here, welcome. I'm glad you came. I hope you stick around. If you are a returning viewer or a returning subscriber, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I look crazy. It is Why Not Wednesday, and my why not for today was why not do my 80s makeup when I was in my big time of trying to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be and what I wanted to look like. Looking back now, I wish I had spent less time learning about what I wanted to look like and more time on who I wanted to be, but that's a different story. My original intention when I did this was to do the makeup on camera and have a good giggle with you and show you sort of how I did my makeup in those days. But once I got started on that, I realized it was going to take a really long time to think what I was doing 30 years ago and recreate it. So as wild and wacky as this looks, it took a long time. So I decided to go in another direction. Here's what we're going to do today. First, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and let you see this makeup up close because every time I look in the mirror, I'm giggling and I can't stop. So hang tight. That rainbow though, y'all, seriously, did a whole rainbow on my eyes. My mode of operation at that point, I think, was use every color. So yeah, there you go. So the year is somewhere between 1982, 1983. My family moved from a little small town where I grew up, a very conservative little town. It was against the law to dance, and no, not Footloose. That's where my biological dad grew up, that town. You know, little town in Oklahoma, same idea, but not that town. So it's against the law to dance. Everybody in town pretty much is Southern Baptist or Methodist. Anybody else was probably looked on with a great deal of suspicion. This is not generally my look when we lived there. So we moved to a larger town. We moved to Norman, Oklahoma, which is a college town. I had no friends. I didn't know how to make friends. I'd never had to do it. When you're a little kid, you just whoever you know is your friend. So here I am, sophomore in high school, don't know who I am, don't know who I want to be, don't know how to make friends. And I think somewhere in the back of my mind, there were two things going on. I knew that I was going to have to stand out somehow, or I was going to be lost in this sea of high school kids that had all known each other for their entire lives, that had all grown up together. And I was not one of them, and they were not willing to let me be one of them because I didn't know how. And the other thing too is that nobody knew me. Nobody had any preconceived notions about who I was. Nobody's dad knew my dad. Nobody's mom knew my mom. I was a complete stranger, and I could absolutely recreate myself. So I think that was the point when I really started experimenting with makeup and seeing what I could do and having a lot of fun with it. As you can see, I had a whole lot of fun with it, and some of these things weren't such a great idea. But it's still fun to look back on. So if I could look back to that girl I was between about, let's say, 82 to about 87, what would I tell that girl? I think the first thing I'd say is, yes, stand out. Do something different. Don't be like everybody else. All those girls at my high school had sleek little blonde page boy haircuts with little velvet bows and little Peter Pan collars and plaid skirts. And there were days that I dressed that way, but in my mind that was kind of a costume, kind of the same way this was. I think everything I wore in the 80s in my mind was kind of a costume. So I would go back to myself and say, yeah, don't be those girls. You're not those girls. You're never going to be those girls. You go out and you be Jennifer. I think the other thing I would say to that young girl that I was is, good for you. Look how brave you are. You know somewhere in the back of your mind that this is not a great look. You know that it's a little shocking, and for that time and place, it was very shocking. Do it anyway. This is what feels good to you. This is what feels kind of genuine. Do it. The other thing I would tell that girl at that time is, that boy that you thought was maybe not the boy for you and that you had some serious doubts about how he treated you, you were right. skip that boy, move on. And you know the next 5 that came after him, same thing. Your gut was right. You should have just stayed away from those boys. The other thing I would tell 1980s Jennifer is those friendships that you thought were super important that you somehow managed to let slip away anyway, you were right. They would have been important. You should have hung on to those girls and let all those boys just pass on by. What else would I tell the 80s me? I would tell the 80s me that your education is a lot more important than you think it is. You should really start paying attention to what's going on in school and coming up with a plan, because you're going to wind up one day in your 30s divorced, and you would have been homeless if you didn't have parents with no education. So maybe, young Jennifer, pay attention. Think about your future, because it's going to come and it's going to happen, and you're not prepared. You are not prepared. What else would I tell 80s Jennifer? Your relationship with your mom is going to get better. You can't tell right now because you are so self-involved, but your mom is on your side. You have a great mom. You just can't see it right now, but you will later. Your siblings are going to be so much more important to you later in life than they are now. Appreciate them. You won't always have all of them, and you will all grow and change, and you'll live in different places. So spend a little time with your siblings now, because you're going to miss them when you're older. Those times when you were at parties with your boyfriend at the time, and you knew that he had had a couple of beers and you thought you shouldn't get in the car with him, you were right. You should not have gotten in the car with them. You should have sucked it up, called your older brother, called your parents if you had to. You should have called someone and had them come and get you. You should never have gotten in that car. You're lucky to be alive. That time when you got married, and right before you started saying your vows, you felt like this might be a mistake and you maybe shouldn't do it, but you felt kind of trapped. You'd gotten this far. Walk away. The money that was spent on that wedding was only money. It wasn't that much. The people that were sitting in those pews at that church were not that many people, and they would eventually understand. Walk away. Trust your gut, Jennifer. Trust your gut. Stay curious. Don't ever stop wondering how things work and why they are the way they are. Keep using your brain. You were really smart in high school, Jennifer. You could have done amazing things, but you stopped using your brain. You stopped being curious. Keep that up, because someday you're going to be 53 and you're going to wish that you had done so. What else would I tell me between the ages of, what was I, 16 to about 21? Yeah, that was that age, those ages, about 16 to 21. What you don't know is there's a boy that's graduating from high school about this time from Texas that you're not going to meet for a very long time, but he's worth waiting for, and you guys are going to have an amazing life. So know that that's coming. All right, so now I'm going to think about this. I was thinking about this this morning while I was doing all these crazy things to my face and my hair. I am going to give some messages to 53-year-old me to look back on later. What would I tell myself 10 years from now or 20 years from now that I may not remember then? I think the first thing is this whole wearing sunscreen that you've been doing so well for the past few years. Keep that up. And if you could go back in time to tell your 17-year-old self that, do that. Wear your sunscreen. You're going to regret not having done it. You're not as fat as you think you are. You're never as fat as you think you are. You're going to look back later and look at yourself in pictures from now and think, why was I so hard on myself? I probably look fine. But 53-year-old me is telling 53-year-old me, you do need to exercise and you do need to drink some more water. And I hope that 63-year-old me and 73-year-old me has figured that out and does that on a regular basis. What else am I going to wish? Your gut feeling right now that your kids are getting older and they're going to move away from you and have their own lives is absolutely right. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen fast, and you are going to miss them with your whole heart. So these rare moments these days when your kids are at home, Put everything down. Put your phone down. Put your book down. Turn the TV off. Get off of YouTube. Look your kids in the eyes. Speak to them. Enjoy them, because you're not going to have them in the house very much longer. Same goes for your husband. There's rare times when he's home and he's speaking to you. Put everything down. Listen to your husband. Look at your husband. You don't know how long you're going to have any human being. You need to appreciate the ones you have. Same goes with your mom, your sister, your brothers, your friends. When you've got them in your sights, put your stuff down. Concentrate on that person in front of you and enjoy them, because someday you're going to be a very old lady and you might be looking back at yourself at 53 and thinking, why were you so stupid? You had everything. Why didn't you ever take advantage of that? What else? Oh, I would absolutely go back to 17-year-old me and say, I know that there are not good makeup brushes yet on the market. Figure out a way to make a blending brush and use it. Blend, girl, blend. I think that's about it. I want to tell future me and past me and now me, life is damn good. There are so many things about life that are wonderful and enjoyable, and yep, there are days that are hard. Sometimes there are weeks and months and even years that are hard, but it always gets better. Life is amazing, and you have to keep on going and remember that no matter how hard it seems right now, it's going to get better, and you're going to look back on this and we'll have learned something. Who knows what it would have been, but something is there to be learned. Okay, I think this is about it. I'm hoping this is a fairly short video, and I hope that if you watched all the way to the end that you maybe got something out of it or got a chuckle about maybe what your makeup looked like when you were in your teens and early 20s and got a chuckle too. I'm very curious though. Tell me, if you would, in the description box, or if you're a YouTuber, tag yourself and make your own video. What would you tell teenage you? What would you tell future you? I'm very curious to know. All right, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, you'd make my day. If you like this kind of video, if you like the Why Not Wednesdays, give me a thumbs up so I know to keep doing it. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.